All eyes are 15 miles east of South Bend in the city with a heart. Good evening, I'm Maureen McFadden.
And I'm Terry McFadden. Tonight we have special coverage of President Obama's visit to Elkhart, which will likely be his final visit to the community as president.
We are beginning our coverage in Concord High School with Mark Peterson. So Mark, we were all listening as President Obama spoke, and his words were very effective.
Well, the president said he came to Elkhart because he remembers this as the place that experienced the worst economic times of our lifetime. In fact, he called his visit an intervention. He called it a myth-busting session designed to calm some of the fears that have fueled an angry presidential election year. The president claims that the choice has never been easier for middle-class voters.
But today, even as the top 1% is doing better than ever, for all the reasons I talked about earlier, the Republican nominee for president's tax plan would give the top 1/10 of 1%, not top 1%, top 1/10 of 1%, a bigger tax cut than the 120 million American households at the bottom. It would explode our deficits by nearly $10 trillion. I'm not making this up. You can look at the math. That will not bring jobs back. That is not fighting for the American middle class. That will not help us win. That is not going to make your lives better. That will help people like him.
The president proudly proclaimed that for the first time ever, 90% of the populace is covered by health insurance, and that during his term in office, the deficit's actually been reduced by 75%. You know, he said, made it clear he wasn't running for anything. He can't run for anything, but certainly sounded and looked like a candidate today.
All right, and Mark, I know that several local dignitaries were among those in attendance. Who did you see there?
A lot of party insiders, Barron Hill, candidate for Senate, Lynn Coleman, candidate for Congress, the Indiana Democratic Party chairman. The whole front and center section was basically a lot of Democrat insiders.
All right, Mark Peterson reporting live tonight from Concord High School. Mark, thanks.
President Obama was welcomed with a huge show of support this afternoon at Concord High School, a place that's gotten to know him pretty well now over the years. News Center 16's Casey Cronus joins us live from there. So Casey, how'd the audience react?
Well, there were more than 1,000 people in attendance today to see President Obama for what is likely the last time he'll visit Michiana as Commander-in-Chief. And the audience was full of energy. There was standing room only at the packed gymnasium at Concord High School. Every seat in the house was taken. President Obama engaged with the audience before and after his speech, shaking the hands of several people who attended. Supporters tell me they were proud to have him back in Elkhart, but for the South Bend woman chosen to introduce him, President Obama's return hit close to home.
Back in 2009, I wrote him a letter, just completely frustrated with the state of the economy. I was an average working person trying to take care of my kids. We built our house with our own hands, and I was in jeopardy of losing all that. And I came here to see him in 2009. I was not called on to ask the question, so I sent him the letter. And over the years, you know, the White House has kept in touch, and when they called me a little while ago and asked me for this incredible opportunity, of course I jumped at it. But I'm also, truly, when I said in my speech that I wanted to shake his hand and say thank you, that was a sincere statement from the heart.
Rizzo's children were also able to meet the president. She says he talked with them about the importance of education, calling his entire message inspiring to the whole family. So definitely no shortage of support here for President Obama.
Okay, Casey, and how early did supporters get there?
Well, people I talked to started lining up at 7 a.m., a good 6 hours before the doors even opened. And there were some people who had tickets, but due to capacity were not able to get in.
Oh, what a shame. Okay, thanks a lot, Casey.
And while there was plenty of support for President Obama inside the Concord gym, how about outside? That's where we find News Center 16's Sean Gallagher. And Sean, did you notice any protesters?
Well, you know, outside of the gym here, there was a line snaking around the building, and everybody seemed pretty supportive. I don't know if it was the rain that kept the protesters away, but over across the street, they weren't too pleased to see President Obama come by in his motorcade. Now, over on the other side of Concord High School on Michiana Avenue. People gathered to see the president's motorcade go by, and one man that I spoke to, while he disagrees with the president's policies, he recognizes how special it is for a sitting president to come to Elkhart. Well, there was one group of construction workers who were less than pleased at the president's appearance. They feel like he's taking advantage of their hard work in bringing Elkhart back.
We did this. We built it. Just the people in this county, the business owners, the people that took the hard lumps through the recession, and we're resilient. I don't think it's his place to take the credit, but I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to do. My personal feelings are as soon as he's out of the office, the better. I just don't know. I don't get it why he's coming back other than to get some credit for his side. And look what we did to Elkhart. We helped him out. I don't believe that's true.
And Chris Johnson and his crew not just upset with Obama's policies, they actually are working over there across the street, and the motorcade that went by actually forced them to stop working. So they have a crane that they're trying to use over there. He says cost them about $200 an hour. Motorcade shut them down for about 45 minutes to an hour. So lots of things that they're upset with Obama being in town.
All right, Sean, so did the construction workers do anything in protest?
Well, you wouldn't have known it when you went by, but Chris Johnson, he's actually a former Marine, and he said that he chose not to salute the president as he went by. Now, it should be said he's not active military, he wasn't in uniform, so there's no reason that he should salute the president as he goes by, but it was kind of a personal protest for him to show how he feels about this commander-in-chief.
All right, Sean Gallagher reporting live tonight from Elkhart. Sean, thanks. Well, about an hour ago, it was a picture-perfect moment for dozens hoping to get a glimpse of the commander-in-chief. The motorcade made its way to the Lerner Theater in downtown Elkhart, where the president spoke at a invite-only town hall. PBS hosted the event. You can catch the president's full speech there tonight at 8 o'clock on Channel 34. That's WNIT Public Television. But the Lerner Theater coverage doesn't stop there. We'll have much more on News Center 16 tonight at 11.
And it looks like South Bend International Airport is getting ready for the president's departure.
As our crew made its way to the tarmac to capture Air Force One's last moments in South Bend.
Let's send it over to News Center 16's Tricia Hart, joining us live just yards away from Air Force One.
Yeah, Maureen, this is not something you see every day. The president's iconic 7047 is taxied here on the eastern side of South Bend International Airport. Most people cannot actually see it from the airport area itself, but a lot of people definitely saw and heard the Air Force One flying over South Bend earlier today. It's 4,000 square feet, 3 stories tall. The plane flew over South Bend around 2 o'clock this afternoon before touching down here at the airport. Security is tight with Secret Service present, checking everyone coming on and off the runway. President Obama's arrival, unlike his appearances in Elkhart County, was not a public event. However, South Bend's Mayor Pete Buttigieg, U.S. Senator Joe Donnelly, and County Commissioner Andy Castellani had the honor of greeting the president as he's made his way out of Air Force One, along with an invited group of the public who were able to shake hands and snap photos.
It was wonderful, wonderful. Both my children have been learning a lot about the election coming up, and so they were very excited to be able to meet one of our presidents.
I was able to take a picture of Barack Obama and the airplane. I really wanted to see the president, and I told my friends today at school because I was at school for a little bit, and I left after my special to here, and that's all I remember.
And as to be expected, it was an entrance with military precision. The president's plane and motorcade was in and out within a matter of minutes after President Barack Obama had time to meet and greet with the crowd here. We're expecting a departure sometime around 6:40 this afternoon. Of course, we'll be joining you live with that coverage of Air Force One as it leaves South Bend International Airport for the first time this year.
All right, Tricia Hart live, and stick with News Center 16 on air and online as we continue to follow this monumental day for the city of Elkhart. Coming up at the end of the show, we're live again from the South Bend International Airport for the president's departure. Well, detectives are trying to figure out why a man was shot and killed in downtown South Bend last night. The shooting happened around 10:30 at Main and Colfax.
News Center 16's Joel Porter joins us now with an update on this shooting. And Joel, are they any closer to figuring out what led to all this?
Terry, detectives say they've talked with a number of witnesses who tell them that two of the men were talking before Michael Young pulled out a gun and stuck it in the victim's face. This afternoon, we learned the name of the victim was Marquez Flowers. Also this afternoon, Young, who lives in Mishawaka, was charged with murder in connection to the case. Right now, he's in the St. Joseph County Jail being held without bond. Police were called to the street at Main and Colfax after the gunfire happened around 10:30 Tuesday night. They found Flowers' body in the street. They say he had been shot in the head. In a charging document released today, witnesses say that Young was talking to Flowers last night when they say he grabbed Flowers by the backpack, spun him around, and shoved a gun in his face. The detective says Young put his hands up when police arrived and told them he was surprised the gun went off in his hand.
This can happen anywhere. You know, I don't care where you're at, it can happen anywhere. You know, and I'm not going to criticize downtown South Bend or east side, north side, west side. You know, what I criticize are the suspects that do things like this.
Flowers' body was taken to Kalamazoo today for an autopsy. So far, those results have not been shared.
All right, and did Young give any indication, you know, why he pulled the trigger, and has he been in trouble with the law before?
Basically, Terry, Young doesn't appear to have any prior criminal history in the state of Indiana. In the probable cause document that was sent out today, Young told officers that he felt threatened by Flowers. Now, that's a claim that witnesses disagree with. Detectives say when he was arrested, Young was carrying 2 handguns.
All right, Joel, thanks a lot. We'll be right back.
More to come on News Center 16.
Mishawaka schools are looking to fully rehabilitate their buildings.
But multi-million-dollar upgrades mean higher taxes for residents.
I'm Angelo DiCarlo. The White Sox in a 13-inning affair with the Mets today, and the unlikeliest of heroes getting it done for the Southsiders. The highlights coming up.